This video is gonna be different than the one that I have created last weekends. Hi, welcome back to my channel. It has been 3 weeks of integration since my last video. And that last video, if you haven't seen it, it's all about my first bodybuilding competition and show. And y'all, this 3 weeks has really shown me that all of this is deeper than what I could anticipate or expect. And that's what I intend to share with this video, in hopes of letting you know that that could be something to inspire you to see that there's something deeper within you as well in your story. Okay, and every inkling or decision that you have allowed yourself to follow, that like glimmer of hope and the thing that keeps nagging at the back of your mind, this really shows that you have no idea what you're getting yourself into, and it's far beyond what you could plan. Put on your cozies or grab your matcha or your coffee, your little fun drink, and let's get into this video. I'm going to start with this. I kept asking myself every single day after the show, I said, I transformed on that stage, and I have no idea what it means, and I'm like trying to articulate it. I'm trying to understand it as quickly as I can so that I could make my next decision, because I could not move forward with my life, really, anything new, until I got this, until I actually sat with what actually happened, because I had nothing to do with that stage. Visualizing the stage was never really where the story began. It's just where something much older finally paid off. So let's go back. Further than the gym, further than the show, back to being a kid. Back to the kid version of me. The truth was, both my parents were immigrants, serial entrepreneurs, and as most of us know, an entrepreneurial life is not an easy one. It's one where you have to constantly be on for your business to stay awake and alive. So it's not an easy feat. I will say that. No, because I'm one myself. But there were consequences to that. I was never really witnessed in my feelings as a kid growing up. Anytime I would cry or get angry, I would just be sent to a room to deal with it myself. And I think that's nothing special for Jacqueline or like for me, but a lot of millennials feel that way. That's why a lot of us are gentle parenting. It's just the way the world worked then. It's like, our parents were told to let our kids self-soothe ourselves and things like that. It might have worked for them, but now having I don't want to get into the whole thing, but let's just say in my story, there wasn't room for what I felt. So how I dealt with it then was to keep myself small. Like, there's no room for Jacqueline's feelings, no room for, Jacqueline's joy, hyperness, no room for Jacqueline's anger, no room for her crying. I had to be small and had to be obedient and had to not cause any friction. And that's how I lived most of my life in the household. But there's one memory that sits with me very clearly, and that's my dad taking my food away, judging my body. I was probably the same age as my kid is now, like 13, in middle school. I was young. I was still trying to figure out who I was. And the lesson I absorbed was that my body was something to be watched or judged, not something that I could actually trust. So you see the marrying of not being able to express myself fully and also being judged by the way my body looked had me completely not trust myself. Safety to me meant staying small, meant hiding, meant staying quiet, meant handling things myself. Like, I had to deal with everything, my own emotions, my own feelings. I had to be responsible for them. I had to handle all of it myself. And that belief followed me right into becoming a mom. Young, terrified. I was 23. Terrified. It wasn't a planned pregnancy. Obviously, I never got married. So if you guys don't know my story, I'll link a video of what happened. I accepted the job of being a mom anyway, right? I was just like, God was telling me, you got to keep this kid. And I was like, okay, I'm going to keep this kid. So at that point, all my life, hidden, small, staying small kept me safe. Dealing with myself kept me safe. I got pregnant and, okay, I'm going to become a mom. So I took on the role anyway, because that's what I knew how to do. To show up capable on the outside, even when I was scared on the inside. And that's the exact pattern that became my version of strength later on. Holding it together, alone. Because somewhere along the way, I decided that that was a rule and not a choice. Whoa, sorry. Didn't mean to get emotional, but this one struck me to my core. So now let's go back on the stage. Because I want you to hear this moment very differently than what you heard last time. I remember like shaking backstage. And I just kept moving my body because one, we weren't wearing any clothes. It was kind of cold. I don't know why people say that it's going to be hot back there and everyone's sweaty and you smell sweat and stuff. But for me, I was shaking like this. I was cold. Even one of my coaches was like, "Are you okay? You're that cold?" And then he's like, "Okay, let's get your pump on." And so I'm like I was shaking to my bones backstage. It was mostly nerves. And of course, somewhere in the middle of that, it was adrenaline too. But it tipped into something else, and that was joy. But right after I stepped off that stage, one of my coaches, I can't remember, it's all blurry now, but I remember someone pulling me aside, saying something that I would never forget. And it is this, it's, you look like you're the only one having fun up there. I remember that being super important for me to hear. That I looked like I was the only one having fun up there. So it's 18 weeks of grueling work and showing up day after day after day, moment after moment, especially when I didn't feel like it. And what that coach noticed wasn't my body. It was that for the first time in my whole life, someone witnessed me in my fullest expression. Not my performance, even though it's kind of contradictory because like going on stage is a performance, but then it's like I didn't feel like it was a performance. It was actually me. It just goes to show that my body knew before my mind could catch up. Y'all, it took me like 3 weeks, okay, to like see this. And of course, now you're still seeing the impact of me holding back my emotions and tears to share this. So here's the point of this whole video. The show didn't create my confidence, but it revealed a self-trust that had been building underneath for years. For years. Long before I ever stepped on that stage. The real before and after was never my body. It was finally being met for my fullest expression. Giving myself that permission to exist in front of people openly. So the stage, basically, it was where it all paid off. But it was never the whole story. It is no coincidence that I see this exact pattern with the women I meet in my business, the women I train constantly. This pattern of self-abandonment, holding it all alone. But that's why I created the Spark Path, the Spark Framework. I'm still figuring out what I want to name it because everything sounds so like, but this one's real for me. It's spark. And it's never about getting stage ready, or it's never about getting the body you want and the dream body. It's way beyond that. It's about the entire journey. Before the stage, before the event, before the dream body, and after it. So here's what I want to leave you with. What's a moment in your life that looked like the whole story, but was actually just one scene? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. And if this found you today, follow along, because this is just the beginning of the real story. Until next time. Bye, guys.